Hello. This is Jason here from the Edge of Midnight channel. Also Queber channel on Twitter. Not Twitter. Yeah, Twitter and Twitch. And a question came to me this morning that I couldn't find a good enough answer for. I really couldn't. Why do the good die young? Why do those of us that are special, and yes, some people are special, I don't give a shit whether that fits with your narrative, some people are special. Some people always make the right choices. Some people really do care. It's the difference between a person who picks up litter because they're going to get a good Instagram post out of it, and the person that does it quietly and doesn't look for social media. It is the difference between doing the right thing because you know it's the right thing, even if it's difficult, and doing it if you'll get some recognition. It's the difference between giving a gift or a present because you want something in return, or giving a gift and a present because you're giving a gift and a present. Unfortunately, looking at the state of the world, there's a lot more of the latter, the bad ones. Not bad, but the self-interest. You only have to look at politics. You only have to look at the entire bloody world and what a mess it is in. We like to blame the politicians, but when it comes down to it, we put them in power. We did. It doesn't matter what conspiracy theory you believe in. We are the many, they are the few. We put them in power. Why does it seem to be so hard to do the right thing? Why is it so much easier to take the easy path, what they call the easy path, the bad path, to not give a shit? It's almost like this world wasn't meant for people like Paola. And she wasn't the only one. No, there's lots of people who did the right thing, who no matter what hit them, they chose the right path. People say, oh, but right and wrong is subjective. Oh, don't give me that bullshit. It's not true. You're just saying it so that you can make excuses for the human race. That's it. Like most psychology stuff and psychiatry stuff and all that, it's an excuse, it's a label. Some people do bad things, some people do good things. Deal with it. They're all human. We make choices. This wasn't meant to be a rant, but it's so damn unfair. I see so many people out there who give nothing to the world, who don't further the world in any way, who don't push a positive narrative. They don't sacrifice. There's 5% or 1% of the world has 90-odd% of the wealth, and what do they do with it? They hoard it. They use tax loopholes to keep that 1%. They use dodgy stuff and accountants that they pay hundreds of thousands of pounds to make sure that their money doesn't stay in a country or a place where they'll be taxed. We have actors and actresses and sports personality who shift their entire wealth outside the country just for a tax break. And we applaud them. We look up to them. Why? I'm sorry, but why? If we did it, if we tried to dodge the tax man, we would get screwed. We always do. But they can. A few of these really rich people have started doing the right things. And even fewer still have started doing it without publicity. And that's the thing. If you need publicity, if you need people to acknowledge that you're doing it, then you're not doing it for the right reason. You're doing it for another type of evil. And yeah, publicity. Since when did cult of celebrity become a valid choice? Since when did acting like an idiot on TV mean you got more recognition than someone with true talent? Life isn't fair, unfortunately. No matter how much you think about it, life is not fair. We're taught in school and that if you do the right thing, you get the reward. I did the right thing. Where's my reward? I looked after Paola for 21 years. I didn't do it for a reward, but going by what we were taught, I should have one hell of an amazing amount of karma, shouldn't I? And 7 days after she dies, I get bowel cancer. I get bowel cancer. Oh, yeah, I actually did laugh while on the table, while the tube was stuck in the bad place. I actually laughed. I said, I said some interesting words that I'm not going to repeat here. But let's just say it just showed how indifferent the universe is. But we should be making a stand. We should be making a difference. That's why it's so important that Paola's story gets out there. She should be an inspiration. Because when people give us excuses that, oh no, we can't do this, it's too difficult, then just look at what Paola dealt with. All those people out there with huge amounts of money, you could be helping. And I don't mean just for a tax break. All you big blue chip companies with profits through the roof, you could be putting a percentage of that profits back into the society. Not just for publicity, not just for a post in a newspaper, but because it's the right thing. You could be sharing, all those people of the 1%, you could be sharing your wealth. And I don't mean through charities, because most charities exclude people as well as include people. You could form your own part of your company as important as your human resources, that basically just look for needy families in your area, that look for those that are using the food banks and provide. You could look at your local town and see where it needs a entertainment for children, a place for kids to learn. You could do that, but you don't. And then we have the politicians, who all of you are the same. I'm sorry, you're all the same. You're all on the take. You are all doing things for the wrong reasons. When we voted to leave the EU, we wanted a hard Brexit. We wanted to leave. We didn't want to be... Most of the things we said we didn't want was the free travel and all that, the immigration and everything. We didn't want that. We wanted to leave. UK wanted to become its own country again. write its own rules, be beholden to itself. And I'm sorry, I don't care what all the newspapers say, all the doom and gloom. We are a country that survives. We have our own resources. We have our own skill set. We would survive. Maybe it'd be painful, but we would find greater worth in ourselves and sell what we made at our prices to the entire world. And I think that's the way to go. But then you've got the bullshit places that are starting to run before even the dust has settled, like Lloyd's Bank. It sends out all these wonderful adverts saying with you and all that kind of thing, and the horses and the romantic stuff and all that. But in the background, they're moving their headquarters over to a different country. What does that say about them? Are they sticking with us? No. I tell you right now, what we should do, everyone in the UK, is all these countries that are starting to pitter-patter feet away. Drop them. Just drop them like a rock. Drop them. The companies that are staying, support them. The companies that are part of the UK, and drop all the politicians who are trying to make an easy Brexit. What is an easy? These are words they've come up with. A soft Brexit. A soft Brexit is basically a sellout. And it's every part of life. It isn't just politics, it's everything. I didn't want to do a rant, but it is a rant. This is a rant about the unfairness of life. About how we can't wait for the universe to give us things, to make things better, to fix things. Our prayers are being unanswered. Paula never prayed. Paula took responsibility for what was going wrong with her. And she lived every single life, part of her life, as being important. She didn't waste a moment. She was a far better person than me. I can't do what she did. I just don't have it in me. We make a difference. We, you and me, make a choice. We can like and we can approve the latest cat video, the latest craze, the latest silly little bit of media that is hitting the front page. Or we can make our own posts about what really matters. Yes, we all want to see nice things. We all want to see happy times. Don't you think I want that too? But I don't think that we can get there by watching pictures of cats. I'm sorry. I wish we could. I really wish we could. I wish the cutesy pictures on Reddit would take us to a better life. I wish the guy falling on his ass on a slide would improve the country, improve the world. But it doesn't. And whose fault is that? Beryl, use your inside voice. People matter. You and me matter. Lies don't matter. Politicians don't really matter. What we've forgotten is politicians were supposed to serve the people, not the other way around. And they've forgotten that. They've forgotten that they are supposed to serve us. they are on them in the minority. This isn't a call to arms. I'm not talking about rebellion or anything stupid like that, because more people get hurt than enough. I'm not talking about violent action, because short-term violence solves problems. It does. Long-term, it does not. Really doesn't, unfortunately. No matter how much I'd like to punch God in the face, it doesn't solve problems. I would like to have a fight with him, and I'd love to be wearing a knuckle duster and kick his ass. But we can make differences. We can abstain from voting. We can set up our own party. We can choose politicians who at least try to do the right thing, who aren't owned by the lobbyists. We can look past the bullshit, look past the hype, and look into a politician's past and decide on what their past record is, whether or not we want to follow them, whether or not they ever do actually provide for what they say they will provide in their speeches. We can spend time with our family. We can go out for walks with a loved one. We can stay in with a loved one. We can play games with a loved one. We can do anything we want. We make choices every single day. And some of the best choices you can make are the hardest choices. When Paula got ill, my so-called friends at the time pulled me to the side outside the hospital and said to me, "Leave Paula. We'll support you." I was in shock. I just looked at him and said, "What?" Well, let's just say I said a really bad set of words. I said, he put his arms on me, this guy did, with the others were behind him, and said, "You weren't going to waste your entire life looking after her. Leave her. You're not even married. Find someone else." In the end, I kicked them to the curb. I left them. I chose Paula. And they were right. It was hard. None of my decisions with Paula were easy. Deciding to look after her was hard. Giving up my career was hard. Making her and a house with 4 rooms in it, the centre of my universe, was hard. Scrimping and scraping because we had no money was hard. Holding her hand at every single doctor's meeting and consultants meeting, bearing the bad news, knowing things weren't going well, that was fucking hard. Don't dare to tell me that you couldn't do that. Because if you couldn't do that, then you're not even a fucking human being. Because every one of us cares for someone enough to be able to do that. It's not easy, but we do it. So don't tell me that you can't do something like that. And don't wait until something bad happens. Be there for them when it matters. Even if it means just sitting next to them and supporting them. Don't try to force people to be like you. Accept your friends for who they are. And for God's sake, don't get into a relationship just because you like the look of someone, because that will change. Looks change. There needs to be something deeper. This is why a lot of people end up out of marriage and divorced and that, because they base their relationship on looks. Do you know what Paula used to tell her friends when we first met? I mean, they thought I was nice looking. Paula said, no, he's just Jason. She didn't think I was that attractive at all. She didn't think so. We became a couple because we talked, because we connected, because we found each other interesting, because we bonded on a level that had nothing to do with how she looked or I looked. And I said that first day to her, I mean, as scary as that sounds, that first night when we were talking, I could spend the rest of my life with you. I told her that, and she didn't run away. I would have. Creepy guy. There's so much wrong in the world, but there's things we can change. There is choices we make. And yeah, the hard choices are hard. Really hard. Every time my dogs needed to be put down, when I've been a good pet owner, I have never let them die alone. I've always gone with them. I've always sat with them when they've been given an injection. Because those pets love you unconditionally. And it breaks me apart. It does. Every time I have to do it. I do what's best for them. But I have to hold them while they're giving their injection. And that breaks me apart. But how could I do any less? I mean, how can you? In a sane world, how can you do any less in return for an animal that shows you absolute love and adoration for its entire life? That would do anything for you. It could. How can you do any less for that animal? And I'm not strong. When I leave there, I'm weeping. It's the worst. One of the worst things you can do. And on a completely different level, when they were trying to bring Paula back, how could I not be in the room? How could I not be there watching? Those doctors, those consultants trying to bring Paula back and doing everything they could and almost managing to, they looked to me to say when it was time to stop. I couldn't leave that on them. I couldn't ask them to make that decision for me. I knew the math. It's not like in the TV series. Yes, you can survive a heart attack, but it's extremely rare for you to survive a cardiac arrest. A cardiac arrest is when your heart a heart attack is when your heart is damaged. It can keep going, things can happen. But if your heart actually stops in a cardiac arrest, it's like being poleaxed. Within 15, 20 seconds, you're out completely because the blood stops pumping. It's as simple as that. The blood stops pumping and your brain, it's just the end. Bringing someone back from something like that is very hard. They try their best. And if you don't bring someone back within 3-4 minutes max, from what I understand, there's a good chance that if they do come back, they're going to have brain damage. We know so much in the medical field. And one of the big problems is all these medical dramas that don't show you the truth. I don't think any of us who haven't experienced ourselves have ever seen a cardiac arrest, ever seen them try to bring someone back. Because it is the most violent thing you will ever see. They crack ribs. They have to push down on your chest so hard that they crack ribs. They've got to try to restart your heart. They've got you enervated. They're checking for any kind of movement to your heart. They're using medication. They'll do anything they can to bring you back. And it can damage you. But the other end of the thing is, if they don't, you're gone anyway. So how could I not be in that room? And how could I not look the doctor in the eye and tell him, it's okay, it's okay, she's not coming back. They let me make that decision. I think the odds are something like somewhere around 80% odd of people who have a cardiac arrest don't come back, and a big percentage of those that do have some kind of problem. It's pretty much a miracle if you come back from a cardiac arrest, if you're not in a position where, even Paula was in she was in the coronary care unit in one of their intensive beds right across from the hub. A nurse was in there. They knew as soon as it happened. As soon as Paula stopped laughing and Paula was just playing Minecraft and laughing with the nurse, and just said to the nurse, my chest feels funny. And pretty much as soon as the nurse looked at her, she could tell that she was becoming glazed in her eye. Her eyes becoming focused. And they moved as fast as they could, and they did everything. They brought like loads of machines into the room, and when I got there were 12 people in the room, and they were all fighting to save Paula, to bring her back. And they couldn't. And so I had to make the final, hardest decision of my life. I had to say, it's okay. You can stop now. And if I can do that, I'm not a hero. I'm not special. I'm human. Just like you. Do you really think I enjoyed making that decision? Do you really think it was any way easier to me than it would have been to you? No. You've got to realise your strengths, who you are. And now think about how hard it is for me to take one more step every single day to stay alive every day. It's not easy. Even with the streaming and everything. I wake up, people ask me on my stream, are you okay? And pretty much it should be a given that I'm not. I'm never going to be okay. I'm surviving. I'm coping. I'm doing it for Paula. I'm doing it for you people. Because we can make a difference. I'm not talking going into politics. I'm not talking making some big high-flying gesture. Just spend time with your family. Make sure they know you love them. Realise that time with family is more important than making money. That you don't need an extravagant holiday to have fun. You don't need to get drunk to have fun. You can spend time with those that you care about. A hug can be priceless. A smile can be priceless. Do you realise what I would give to just have one more day with Paula? One more moment? And I can't. So all I can do is try and make sure that everybody out there understands that what really matters. Paula wasn't special because she was special. She was special because of the choices in life she made. Paula never took the easy path. And by her example, I never did either. And I suffered for it. I still do. I put her before me in everything we did, because I knew what she was going through. In fact, no, I didn't know what she was going through. I knew some small sliver of what she was going through. I knew enough to know that I was going to base every single one of my choices on trying to make her smile. Trying to give her something in this world that was worth living for. Why do the good people die young? And why do the bad people seem to live forever? How screwed up can it be? Where making the right choices is punished. Where doing the right thing causes pain. We make our choices for life. We decide what is right for us. We all know what is right and wrong. We all know it. We all know right and wrong. Some of us just don't seem to care. And that's sad. I wish that I could do more to push Paula's viewpoint, to give more people in the world examples of who she is. It is frustrating. I am so appreciative of all the people that follow me and help me, the community, the games that make it possible to me to live day to day. You're amazing. You have also made choices. If I can get the word out of who Paula was to a bigger audience, then that's enough for me. In fact, it's enough for me that I've touched the people I've already touched. Really, when it comes down to it, it's amazing. And yes, all these pictures were pictures of Paula's. She took herself. When I took her out in the wheelchair, and the paintings were all hers. She always liked to send me pictures through the WhatsApp when she was in hospital. I want to apologise for this rant. I always said I wasn't going to hide anything about how I'm feeling. This morning was just a bad day. You'll probably notice on a couple of Paula's pictures where she's smiling with her mouth open, though her teeth are quite yellow. For about 3 years she wasn't allowed to brush her teeth in case she caused damage to the skin. If you watch through this, then I'm amazed. This will come with a warning. It is a rant. Thank you for watching.